So what's going on, guys? It's Jamie, it's speedboxing. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel before you click on 20 of the videos. Also comment below in the comment section if you guys have any opinions on what I'm saying in any of the videos. Like always, it is appreciated if you guys could drop me a quick sub or two on my channel. So Chris Eubank Jr. has just posted on Twitter his weight right now, 8 weeks before his fight with George Groves, and he is 4 pounds under the weight limit. He is weighing 164 pounds right now. Obviously, the super middleweight limit is 168 pounds, but he's 8 weeks away from the fight and he's weighing 164 pounds. And this could concern a lot of people about the fight, because obviously we saw the pictures when these guys were face to face, Chris Eubank Jr. and George Groves. And George Groves just looked a lot bigger. He was taller. He just looked bigger, like body-wise. He just looked so much bigger than Chris Eubank Jr. But obviously George Groves is a very big super middleweight, and obviously Chris Eubank Jr. is a natural middleweight. But a lot of people are going to say now that this is going to be a factor in the fight, that George Groves' size is just going to be too much for Chris Eubank Jr. But Chris Eubank, you know what I mean, he does spar bigger guys. He's used to sparring bigger guys. He spars with light heavyweights and cruiserweights. This is what he says. So he says George Groves' size doesn't really concern him. He does say George Groves does have power though. You know what I mean? So will Chris Eubank Jr. be a bit wary of George Groves in terms of the power department? Because you can't just go in there with George Groves and just be passive about his power. Because Carl Froch did that in the first fight, and he ended up on the seat of his pants, badly hurt against George Groves in that first fight. Like, Carl Froch went in there with the mentality that I've got a great chin. George Groves, he won't be able to hurt me, he won't be able to do anything. And first round, Carl Froch came out, bang, square on the button, on the deck. And this was Carl Froch, who had only been dropped once previously by Jermaine Taylor, and that was a flash knockdown many years before. So, you know what I mean? It's alright saying that you've got a granite chin and that you've been hit by bigger guys and stuff like that, but in sparring, you're wearing 16-ounce gloves. But in a boxing ring, you're wearing 8-ounce gloves. So obviously, there's less padding. So you're going to feel the effect of the power a lot more than you're going to feel in sparring. And this is the biggest man Chris Eubank's fought in terms of an actual fight in a professional ring. So it'll be interesting to see how the size could be a factor in the fight between Chris Eubank and George Groves. A lot of people are rocking with Chris Eubank, thinking that he's just going to be too much for George Groves at this stage of their careers, that he's on the up, and George Groves is fading a little bit in his career, you know what I mean, that he's seeing better days, that he's hit his peak, even though he is a world champion and he's coming off some good performances. George Groves, people just feel that Chris Eubank Jr. is on the up, that he's putting on good performances, he's improving, and he has improved as a fighter from a technical aspect and stuff like that. He's doing things a lot different that he wasn't doing a couple of years ago, Chris Eubank Jr. Like, he's using movement a little bit more and stuff like that. He's putting shots together very well. He's always done that. He's thrown combinations fantastic there. But you know what I mean? In his last fight against that, what was the guy's name? Anvi Yildirim. Yeah, that Turkish guy. Like, he dropped that guy. He knocked him out. You know what I mean? And Chris Eubank never really displayed power like that before. But he took Anvi Yildirim out with one shot, you know what I mean? Like, he dropped him heavily, and that was all she wrote for Anvi Yildirim. Is that saying something about Anvi Yildirim's punch resistance? But, you know, George Groves himself hasn't really got the best chin. So it'll be interesting to see if Chris Eubank Jr., even though he is the smaller man, can hurt George Groves. But, you know what I mean? George Groves has been to war with guys. He's been knocked out by Carl Froch, obviously. He's felt power with guys like Badu Jack, who is a lot bigger than Chris Eubank Jr. He's felt power off James DeGale, who is bigger than Chris Eubank Jr. So it'll be interesting to see, but you know what I mean, the size difference could be a factor in this fight. And it's alright, Chris Eubank Jr. saying that he can take it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about George Groves being bigger than him, he's used to it, he's fought bigger guys, but you know what I mean, under the lights, against somebody like a George Groves, who in my opinion is a better technical boxer than Chris Eubank Jr. If Chris Eubank Jr. gets complacent in the fight, then he could get caught and he could end up on the seat in his pants. So yeah, very interesting that Chris Eubank Jr. is weighing 164 pounds 8 weeks from the fight. But you know what I mean, it could be an advantage. He could have a speed advantage, obviously, because he is a lot quicker than George Groves, so that could be his play in the fight, just using speed, his combinations, his hand speed and stuff like that. But you know what I mean, George Groves, you know what I mean, if he can time Chris Eubank Jr., it could be a factor in the fight, because timing is a big thing in boxing, and if he can time Chris Eubank Jr. and land one of them big right hands, then it could be a deciding factor in the fight. So comment below in the comment section. It's JM, it's Speedboxing.